Hi there, Evan here at the Chronicle for Saturday, December 14th, 2019, where the future starts today. Little housekeeping, I did appear on Mike Martin's live stream, Trends in the Housing Market on Wednesday. If you do want to watch the entire segment where I was on, I'll leave a link in the description. Hope y'all enjoy it. Mike Martin's, thanks again for having me on. I really do appreciate it. I love all the work you're doing over there. I hope to see you in the very near future. Anyhow, let's get right into it. First order of business. Debt service ratios hit a record high in Canada. Insolvencies are up, unemployment's up, and the cost to service debt in Canada hit a new high. Let that sink in. And as I predicted at the beginning of this year, this is going to happen for people who really needed the debt, for the lowest quality debt. So if you follow me long enough, you shouldn't be shocked at this. Enough of that. Next up, Bill Renault now wants to review and possibly amend the stress test. Yep, the real estate agents, the mortgage brokers, the banks, they all started squawking, and it looks like the feds are going to take care of who butters their bread. Really all there is to it, folks. But let's look at it on the surface. Private mortgages, after the stress test, picked up a market share by a whole heck of a lot. So the people who really wanted a mortgage just went off in that direction. In bank earnings. Let's look at bank earnings for a second. Bank earnings weren't bad last quarter because of private mortgages taking market share. Bank earnings were bad because loan loss provisions from delinquent consumer loans were eating into their profits. That's why they were bad. On the insolvency front, I've only been reporting on this really for the past, 18 months now. And that's turned out to be true more than I even thought. Is amending the stress test going to change that? No. Everyone's still in the same situation they were always in. And anyone who really wanted a mortgage went off to a private lender anyways if they failed the stress test. So really, let's look at it as a neutral here. Now, as far as the stress test goes, one thing I do believe that should be amended is on renewals. You shouldn't be required to do another stress test on renewals. Yes, of course, the lender is going to do their due diligence at their end, do an employment, credit check, you name it. But being already, you took out a mortgage before the stress test was introduced, and or you've already been stress tested when you were first approved for the mortgage, there's no reason why you should have to go through that process again. So there's that. But as far as amending the stress test having an impact on the market itself, for me, it's too little too late. We also can't forget this. Because of the increase in the loan loss provisions from the last couple of quarters from the banks, the regulator is now asking them, requiring them to carry a higher capital buffer, carry more capital on their balance sheet. So that's obviously going to be another headwind to their earnings next year. On top of the fact that the loan loss provisions are only going to grow from here. Because now we're starting to see unemployment spike. And as far as the stress test goes itself, anyone who wanted a mortgage just bypassed it, went to a private lender anyways. As you can see by their massive pickup of market share since it was introduced on uninsured mortgages back at the beginning of 2018. So really, will it have an impact? No. If it was, this is a day late and a dollar short for me to do it. If it was to have a more serious impact, this needed to be done at the end of last year, not at the end of this year, when things are already starting to break and that bowling ball is already going downhill. It's just too late now. And really all that's going to happen is that same money is going to slosh around. Some of it will obviously go back to the banks. But there's still too many headwinds for them next year. And on another note, the earnings estimates are way too high and have to come down for next year. So there's that. And to go ahead and put this in closing, will amending the stress test have any material impact on the market? I personally don't think so. It's just going to be the same money sloshing around. Yes, the banks will pick up a bit of the share that they lost close to 2 years ago. I understand that. But as far as the banks go, earnings estimates are just too high for next year. Obviously add in the requirements for an increased capital buffer, which is going to be a further headwind. Loan loss provisions will keep picking up next year no matter really what happens, as we have unemployment now starting to spike. And also, look back at our last chart. Even with lower rates, we're paying more to service our debt than ever before, and all these headwinds are into the equation now. Let it sink in, folks. Let it sink in. This isn't going to change things. The bowling ball is already going downhill. This ain't going to stop it. Enough of that. In our last story of the day, I saw this chart a couple of days ago. What it does is it overlays global manufacturing PMI with the percentage of countries with rising leading indicators. And as you can see on the chart, the percentage of countries with rising leading indicators has a lead on global manufacturing by approximately 6 months. And as I mentioned, I believe in a video about a few months back, you'll likely see what looks on the surface to be a stabilization at the end of Q1 into Q2 of next year, and a deceleration will continue on further after that. And this chart more or less states that conclusion. So really, best place to go ahead and leave it. Again, if you haven't already, watch my segment from Trends in the Housing Market on Wednesday. Smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, follow both my Twitter accounts, and as always, my name is Evan. This is the McChronicle, where the future starts today.